In the program Seize Power, Tim Hofman launched an attack on pro-life Netherlands, but also on everything conservative.
Stille mars, de mars voor het leven, wat eigenlijk de mars tegen vrouwenrechten door een stel mensen met een onderdrukkende machtsfantasie die zich verschuilen achter de Bijbel is.
In this video, I want to expose the lies of the broadcast and show you that Hofman is a textbook example of the pot calling the kettle black.
Goed, extreem rechts en rechtsconservatief. Wat is dat eigenlijk? Nou, laten we beginnen met extreem rechts. Dat is een verzamelbegrip voor groeperingen die zich focussen op het eigene. Zichzelf dus, en de afkeer van het vreemde, de ander. Het verschil tussen die twee is veelal gebaseerd op etniciteit. Extreemrechtse groeperingen keren zich bijvoorbeeld af tegen de islam, het Joodse volk of mensen die niet wit zijn. Extreemrechts is meer een politieke stroming of gedachtegoed. Maar er is ook een groep rechtsextremisten die antidemocratische doelen nastreeft. Zoals het uitsluiten van groepen en het inperken van hun rechten met ondemocratische middelen. Denk aan geweld, opruiing of haatzaaien.
Hofman makes an absurd caricature of everything right-wing, as if conservative people, especially people from form of democracy, are selfish and racist people who want nothing more than to restrict the rights of other groups. Besides the fact that this is nonsense, Tim Hofman himself is guilty of this. He is excluding a whole group of people as he tries to curtail their rights by undemocratic means. Let me explain. According to the AIVD, these are examples of undemocratic means: systemic hate speech, spreading fear, spreading disinformation, demonizing and intimidating. Hate speech and spreading fear are such vague concepts that you can successfully accuse anyone of this, so I don't think it makes much sense to see whether Hofman is guilty of this. But spreading disinformation and demonizing are concrete things. Demonizing means the deliberate negative portrayal of a cause or person, with the aim of influencing the opinion of others on the subject. In other words, when demonizing, you put the focus on what you think are negative aspects of a person or group, such as a bad character or wrong intentions, instead of focusing on the subject. Let's see to what extent Hofman is guilty of these two undemocratic means. We have already seen that Hofman is guilty of both demonization and spreading disinformation in his attack on the right. His attack on pro-lifers is even worse. Hofman uses these undemocratic means to curtail the most fundamental right of the most vulnerable group in our society: the right to life of unborn children.
Soms is de wereld een duistere plek en dat blijkt maar weer. Hè? Deze cruciale beslissing werd genomen door deze 5 conservatieve rechters met macht. Het is eigenlijk een soort Avengers, maar dan hebben ze eerst de communie gedaan. Dat is deze groep mensen. En zij gebruikten hun macht om vrouwen een fundamenteel recht op hun eigen lichaam af te pakken en hen zo machteloos mogelijk te maken. Schreeuw om leven. Die krijgen de laatste jaren steeds meer donaties. En hun stille mars, de mars voor het leven, wat eigenlijk de mars tegen vrouwenrechten door een stel mensen met een onderdrukkende machtsfantasie die zich verschuilen achter de Bijbel is, trekt elk jaar meer mensen.
Hofman is guilty of demonization here because he does not focus on the issue, abortion, but on what he believes to be the negative intentions of pro-lifers. Besides the fact that Hofman pretends to have the magic gift of understanding the intentions of a hugely large and diverse group of people, he gives no argument as to why he thinks they have these intentions. It is both highly unlikely that all these people are driven by this, and completely irrelevant to the truth about abortion. The implicit assumption is made that the pro-life position is wrong, and therefore people do not become pro-life based on sound arguments, but on irrational psychological motives. C.S. Lewis has a name for this tactic: bulverism. Bulverism is a term for the rhetorical fallacy of assuming your opponent is wrong and then explaining his error. It goes as follows. Premise 1. Pro-lifers think wrongly about abortion. Premise 2. Here's one reason pro-lifers want to believe abortion is wrong. Conclusion. Pro-lifers think wrongly about abortion. This is foolish, because you first have to show that the other side is wrong before trying to explain why they are wrong. This is a very sneaky tactic, because you can avoid the real discussion and still convince people that the other side is wrong by focusing purely on speculative motives about why people have come to believe something. Even if Hofman could show that pro-lifers are driven by power, this says nothing about whether the pro-life or pro-choice side is right, because the origin of an idea is irrelevant to determining the truth of the idea. If I believe the Earth is round because I read it in Donald Duck, you cannot conclude that the Earth is not round because the source is not a reliable scientific document. the same applies to our views on abortion. So the tactic of bulbarism gets us nowhere. Anyone can play this silly game. If you are interested in the truth, then you are primarily focused on the arguments, not speculative philosophical motives. Discussing arguments is what the majority of the pro-life side want to do, but many people on the pro-choice side prefer to bulvarize, and that is telling.
Een strenge abortuswet eist jaarlijks bijna 70.000 levens door ontzettend gevaarlijke, illegale ingrepen. En daar wil ik even bij zeggen, hè, meningen mogen verschillen, daar is niks mis mee. Maar waar wel iets mis mee is dat sommige meningen bijdragen aan de onderdrukking van heel veel mensen. Zoals bijvoorbeeld die 70.000 slachtoffers als gevolg van strenge abortuswetten.
If we were to turn Hofman's point into an argument, it goes something like this. Abortion should remain legal in the Netherlands, because if it is made illegal, then many women will die as a result of unsafe and illegal abortion. There's a lot wrong with this point. Let me start with the disinformation. Stringent abortion laws claim nearly 70,000 lives annually. The suggestion is made that the cause of these 70,000 people dying is purely because of illegal abortion, and that if it were legal, these deaths would be no more. I do not know whether this number of deaths is correct, but even if it does not follow that 70,000 people would be saved every year if abortion were legal. This is because people also die as a result of legal abortion. The deaths may be a result of generally poor medical care that is there anyway, because the country is poor, for example. The study Hofman refers to even notes this. Liberal abortion laws alone are no guarantee against maternal mortality. In both India and Zambia, abortion was legalized back in the 1970s, yet maternal mortality is as high as ever. If you look at which countries abortion is legal and which illegal, it turns out that third world countries in particular have strict abortion laws, and first world countries have liberal laws. It makes sense that mortality is higher in developing countries because medical care is of poor quality. So stating that mortality is purely due to abortion being legal cannot be justified. The highest maternal mortality rates in the world are in third world countries such as Somalia, with as many as 1,000 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. First world countries have much lower rates, at about only 5 per 100,000 live births. But what is especially telling is that pro-life Chile, for example, has a maternal mortality rate of just 25, while Guyana, where abortion is legal, has a maternal mortality rate of 280, and pro-life Kuwait has a mortality rate of 14, while pro-abortion Cambodia has 250. Could it be that the legality of abortion has little to do with the maternal mortality rates? If we really want to know whether illegal abortions are really more unsafe than legal ones, we should look at a prosperous country, like America, and simply look at the statistics before and after legalization. In 1973, abortion was made legal, and we see no impact on the curve in the graph, so making abortion legal added nothing to its safety. It follows that Hofman spread disinformation. But there is a much deeper problem. Even if Hofman were absolutely right, this is irrelevant to the discussion of whether abortion should remain legal, and it is not hard to see why. Everyone, including Hofman, agrees that it is bad to restrict the rights of certain groups of people based on arbitrary characteristics, such as skin color, age, and status. Depriving such groups of people for their fundamental right to life is therefore not excusable. In other words, if unborn children are human beings, then abortion cannot be justified. So the relevant question is that which grows in the womb a human being? If it is a human being, then Hofman's point is irrelevant, because he then wants legislation that makes it safe and legal to kill people. His point then is as absurd as claiming, there are people who try to kill others illegally, and this poses many risks to the killers, so we should legalize murder so that they can do it more safely. Another popular pro-choice argument goes like this. There is no point in banning abortion, because you won't get it out of the world that way, because people will just do it illegally. That's the same as saying, banning rape? That doesn't make sense, because people will just do it an illegal way. This makes no sense at all. Murder and rape are serious crimes, so they should be banned. Period. Finally, Hofman's position is disrespectful to women. He acts as if women are so weak that they have no other option but to have an illegal abortion if they become pregnant. As if they are incapable of taking responsibility and choosing to be a good mother. Now let's answer the only relevant question. What is in the womb? Hofman does not explicitly address this, but he does implicitly.
Ja, iedereen met een baarmoeder verliest in Amerika het landelijke recht op abortus. En dat is erg, want dat is een recht dat al tientallen jaren oud is en waarvan we inmiddels wel dachten dat we het recht bevochten hadden. Een recht dat gaat om beschikking over je eigen lichaam en baarmoeder.
Hofman is guilty of spreading disinformation here because the issue is not about what women are allowed to do with their own bodies, but with someone else's body. Common sense and science tell us that the body in the mother's womb is a different body. It is a unique body with unique DNA. Actually, this is as plain as day, but we are living in strange times, so even the most obvious has to be substantiated these days. From the moment of conception, there exists a unique human being who, if you just let him or her grow in the womb, will grow into an adult member of the human species, because at conception, the DNA, the inherited characteristics of an individual human being, is fixed and remains in force throughout the person's life. Experts agree that the moment of conception is when a person's life begins. Biologists from 1,058 academic institutions around the world reviewed research items on when human life begins, and a total of 96% confirmed the conception view. In other words, 96% of the experts acknowledge that a human being's life begins the moment a sperm cell enters an egg. So whether you are an embryo, a fetus, a baby, a toddler, an adolescent, or an adult, at all these stages you are a complete human being, and therefore have fundamental rights, the most important of which is the right to life.
Maar goed, even terug naar extreem rechts en rechtsconservatief in het algemeen. Want wat die bewegingen met elkaar gemeen hebben, is dat ze andere groeperingen onderdrukken. Of in ieder geval daar hardop van dromen. Bij abortus gaat het om vrouwen, maar het gaat ook om de rechten van LHBTIQ'ers, Joodse mensen, moslims, mensen van kleur, transpersonen en eigenlijk alles dat niet wit, man, cis, hetero en conservatief is.
Here, Hofman is guilty of both demonization and spreading disinformation. The truth is exactly the opposite. Conservatives, on the contrary, do not want to exclude any group and therefore argue that every human being has the same fundamental rights. This is why they are against abortion. They do not want to exclude unborn people. Hofman, on the other hand, does want to exclude this vulnerable group. I don't know how Hofman would defend himself, because the relevant discussion is almost never had. But many pro-choicers, when they can no longer deny the truth that unborn people are humans, argue that unborn people are not persons. Persons have certain characteristics that unborn human beings do not have. And from this, the conclusion should then follow that they are not full human beings. Let us fast forward through the typical characteristics they give. Size. The child in the womb is very small, and therefore does not have the same value as born humans. So since a 4-year-old child is smaller than an adult, can we kill the child? If we should not kill the child because it is smaller, then we should not kill the unborn child either, since size is irrelevant in determining human value. Level of development. The unborn are less developed than born people. They are not as conscious as born people. Therefore, they do not have the same value as born people. If we apply this criteria consistently, young children, disabled people, people in comas, and even drunk people can be killed because they are not as conscious as normal people. If we should not apply this criteria to these groups, then we should not apply it to the unborn either. Environment. The unborn can be killed for being in the womb. Location is completely irrelevant in determining a person's worth. We all agree that whether you are sitting at home, walking in the supermarket, swimming in the sea, or even walking on the moon has no bearing on your value as a human being, so neither is being located in the womb. Degree of dependency. The unborn can be killed as long as they depend on the mother for survival. This criterion can also be used to justify killing newborns, especially in third world countries, because they depend on the mother's body for nourishment. This even justifies not having to rescue a drowning toddler, because he would depend on you for his survival. If you think this is immoral, then you should conclude the same about killing the unborn. These are similar to arbitrary characteristics, like skin color, status, or sexual orientation. The only reasonable position is that every human being is equal. History teaches us how evil it is to deny this truth. African Americans were not treated as full human beings because of the arbitrary characteristic of skin color. The Nazis justified extermination of Jews because of their ethnicity. In a similar way, we justify the extermination of unborn children because of arbitrary characteristics such as size, level of development, environment, and degree of dependency.
Maar waar wel iets mis mee is dat sommige meningen bijdragen aan de onderdrukking van heel veel mensen.
Just like Hofman's view, which contributes to the oppression of babies in the womb, resulting in more than 30,000 unborn children being killed every year in the Netherlands.
Schreeuw om leven. Die krijgen de laatste jaren steeds meer donaties. En hun stille mars, de mars voor het leven, trekt elk jaar meer mensen. We kunnen haat met een beetje liefde bestrijden. Wij kunnen namelijk massaal, met z'n allen, onderdrukkend gedachtegoed onschadelijk maken met doodknuffelen. We kunnen ze doodknuffelen. Dus we willen deze mensen op een lieve en positieve manier duidelijk maken dat hun mars een mars voor onderdrukkende ideeën is. Dus, wat gaan we precies doen? Voor elke anti-abortus demonstrant zoeken we iemand die diegene wil sponsoren met een donatie aan het goede doel. En dat goede doel is AVA.
His inspiration comes from the Bible. Romans 12, 17 and 21. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. The bizarre thing about this is that Hofman is apparently so seriously diluted in his thinking that he thinks he can overcome evil with good, when in fact he is trying to overcome good with evil. He wants to thwart pro-lifers by giving money to an organization that promotes killing babies. God warns that such people have a big problem. Isaiah 5:20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter.
AVA staat voor anticonceptie, vrije keuze en abortus. En daarnaast betekent AVA ook stem in het Perzisch. En dat is precies wat wij willen zijn. Wij geven eigenlijk alle miljoenen vrouwen in Nederland die gebruik maken van anticonceptie en abortuszorg een stem. Wij zorgen ervoor dat hun stem gehoord wordt en dat zij een vrije en geïnformeerde keuze kunnen maken als het gaat om anticonceptie en abortus.
AVA wants to give a voice to women seeking abortions? What a bizarre choice of words. As if these women don't have a voice, and as if that voice isn't loud enough already. The babies in the womb are the ones who really have no voice. They are the real victims because they are being killed on an ongoing basis. It is time we face reality and start seeing how evil abortion is, and we must give a voice to the unborn children. This is what God calls us to in the Bible. Rescue those who are being taken away to death. Hold back those who are stumbling to the slaughter. If you say, "Behold, we did not know this," does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who keeps watch over your soul know it? And will he not repay man according to his work? How beautiful it is that we can show the truth to other people and must slowly change our culture of death and destruction. Therefore, my appeal to all Christians and pro-lifers, make your voice heard and come to the March for Life on the 12th of November and show the Netherlands that we will not stop fighting for unborn children until abortion is made illegal again.